Just got through installing this master cylinder into Oscar's 51 GMC pickup. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and route the brake lines. I just thought this would be a good opportunity to show you guys how to do some brake lines and give you some helpful handy hints. Now I realize that brake lines can be a bit scary to deal with, you know, crashing and all that kind of stuff, but it's not that big of a deal. You don't really need a lot of tools. You don't need a lot of expensive tools. These things right here, they'll generally run you about 10 bucks each. Your brake lines generally aren't that expensive. Normally when I get pieces, even if I only need 2 or 3 feet, I'll get the 6-footer because they're only about 10 or 15 bucks. More than likely I'm going to make a mistake or two, so I want the extra pipe just in case. Another thing I'm going to do is get like some wire, and I'll route out things. I want to make sure I'm staying away from shifters, away from heat, away from anything moving, and I can go ahead and take something like this and experiment a couple of different ways of going, seeing how I like things, if they're going to cooperate with me or not before I get into bending up my line that I paid for. So I'm going to figure this out just a little bit. Yours is going to go differently. You might be doing a complete system, or you're just going to maybe bleed into the line that we've already got on this. This is just kind of a nice, decent daily rat rod, if you will. We don't have to go through the entire brake system just because we put master cylinder on there. So I'm going to map this out a little bit, and then I'll get back to you back in a second here and give you some more advice. In planning my routing, we can see our main line coming into this T right here. Now, if I get lucky and these come off, I can go ahead and just get a coupler, tie into this, and this will go to my rear. If this comes off, I can couple into that and go to my front. Now, if this doesn't come off, then I simply go to my next junction, see if that comes off, and run my brake line to there. So first I'll check to see if these come off. Helpful handy hint here, do not unbolt this first, because when this is bolted into the frame, it's a lot easier to get some pull on this and get these guys out of there. This right here is going to be how you're going to cut your pipe. Now, you might think to yourself, I'm just going to get my die grinder in there and cut it. You don't want to do that. It's going to get metal shavings up inside of it, and it's not going to give you the proper end on that. Now, I've cut this longer than I need, so I've got a little bit to work with, and then I'll show you how to get this to the exact size and flare the end. We'll have our front done. So here you can see why we left it a little bit long. This is our coupler right here, this brass fitting. And now we can go ahead and put this and get an accurate measurement. Now the chances of you being able to get your tape measure out and all this kind of stuff and get the proper measurement, just not that likely. What you're going to do is, when this bolts down, it'll bolt down to about the middle. You're going to need to give yourself a little bit of extra for the flaring tool to be able to shrink that down and make a proper fitting on the end there. Let me show you how to do that. Here's what the end is going to look like when you're using the proper tool. Now it's still going to need to be deburred in the center right there. That's what we're going to be using this. This bit will typically come with any of your flaring kits, but if you don't have it, make sure you do get it. When you're going to be flaring that out, or when you're going to be getting the deburrs off of there, you want to hold it upside down so any of the burrs will fall out. You're not going to be doing it much, and make sure that you blow on it to get it out. That is what it should look like when you're done. My brake line is tightened into my clamp right here, and I want to show you we have about 1/8 of an inch or so sticking up there. Different flare kits will tell you to go up or down a little bit more depending on how their fittings work and such, so read your instructions and get the height exactly where you want it in order to get the flare correct. Next thing you're going to do is you'll have a little piece like this, and then it's just going to sit right in there like that. We'll get our clamp. This is going to go right on top, and this is going to screw down. when you get this centered in here, make sure it is nice and even and everything, and squared off, because if you get started uneven, then it will go uneven. And we're going to go ahead and tighten this down. And we're not smashing this. We're tightening it down pretty good, but we're not smashing it. Only going to be tightening it down about that far. Go ahead and take it back off. You'll take your little fitting out here, and then what you're going to do is go ahead and get this and screw it down the rest of the way, and that will take the end and it'll squish it in like that, and you'll have your proper fitting. So again, that's not going to get smashed down hard either. When I tighten it onto my coupler, that's when I want it to collapse the rest of the way. So I'm leaving this just a little bit fat and fluffy if I can, so that when I tighten it down for the last time on my coupler, it's making a good fitting. So you should be looking a bit like that when you're done. So lastly, I'm just going to get some hose clamps, and I'm going to clamp this every foot or so, because if this is left to jiggle, you can get stress cracks and leaks in your joints. So quick recap: plan ahead, figure out your routing, stay away from anything hot or moving, take your time. These are your brakes, and you do want to be safe. Now, you be sure and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and when you're on YouTube, you make sure that you subscribe so you can see all of these different videos, get all the helpful handy hints you're going to need to get your truck back on the road. We'll see y'all then.